For the past 44 years, Depeche Mode have been one of the biggest musical influences in my life. Living in Denmark, close enough to receive Swedish radio, I was introduced to this exciting new wave of synthpop long before it became widely known here. My first Depeche Mode release was Speak and Spell, and I was immediately captivated by those icy, groundbreaking synthesizer sounds. They became the soundtrack to my youth, and ultimately one of the reasons I started playing synthesizers myself. I've always felt that some of Depeche Mode's B-sides deserve far more recognition than they've received. Some are hidden masterpieces, others reveal fascinating sides of the band that many listeners never discovered. These are 10 of my personal favorites, presented chronologically rather than as a ranking, because each one has earned its place for a different reason. Released in 1981 as the B-side to New Life, Shout immediately stood out to me. I don't remember exactly when I first heard it, but I do remember liking it more than some of the lighter, more straightforward pop songs on Speak and Spell, such as What's Your Name. Even back then, I found myself drawn to Depeche Mode's more hypnotic side. The driving rhythm, icy synthesizers, and understated vocals create an atmosphere that still takes me straight back to my teenage years, when this whole new world of electronic music was opening up for me. Released in 1982 as the B-side to The Meaning of Love, Oberkorn, It's a Small Town, didn't really grab my attention as a teenager. It's one of those songs I've grown to appreciate much more over the years, especially after becoming a composer myself. Today, I really admire its understated songwriting and the careful choice of sounds. The calm atmosphere underneath the main bell sound melody is what makes the song so beautiful. In fact, it even reminds me a little of the mood Japan created. As someone who has written instrumental music for many years, I don't miss vocals here at all. This is simply a beautifully crafted ambient piece. Also released in 1982 as the B-side to Leave in Silence, Excerpt from My Secret Garden was an easy choice for this list. The original My Secret Garden has always been one of my favorite Depeche Mode songs, but this instrumental version has a completely different character. It feels more driving and energetic, with its powerful bass line, drums and percussion pushing the song forward from beginning to end. It still has that wonderful atmosphere of the original, but without the vocals it becomes something else entirely. For me, it's one of Depeche Mode's true hidden gems, and a B-side that deserved far more attention than it ever received. Released in 1983 as the B-side to Everything Counts, Work Hard captures everything I love about the Construction Time Again era. Depeche Mode were experimenting with sampling, industrial sounds and a much rawer style, yet they never lost their gift for memorable melodies and rhythms. I loved this new direction from the very beginning. It still sounded like Depeche Mode, but they had reinvented themselves. Yes, it's a little cheesy in places, but I still love the energy, Dave's vocals and the whole industrial atmosphere. Overshadowed by Everything Counts, I think Work Hard deserves to be appreciated in its own right.
You've got to work hard, you've got to work hard. You've got to work hard, you've got to work hard. You've got to work hard, you've got to work hard. You've got to work hard, you've got to work hard.
Released in 1983 as the B-side to Love in Itself, Fools was actually a song I discovered much later in life. Written by Alan Wilder, It has a character all of its own. From the very first notes, that unmistakable bell sound immediately places it in Depeche Mode's Construction Time Again era. But it's really the driving bass line and groove that make this song so special to me. In fact, the bass line reminds me a little of the German electronic band Deutsche Amerikanische Freundschaft, giving the song an almost techno-like feel. I think it would have fitted perfectly on Construction Time Again. And outside the band's most dedicated fans, it's still one of Depeche Mode's great hidden gems.
So call me now and tell me that you're
Released in 1984 as the B-side to People Are People, In Your Memory is one of my all-time favourite Depeche Mode songs, including the A-sides. Ironically, despite its title, I have no memory of when I first heard it. It's simply one of those songs that has always been part of my musical life. For me, it's one of the strongest melodic B-sides the band ever recorded. The atmosphere, the beautiful melodic structure, and the way the vocals and instrumentation come together in the chorus are simply outstanding. I honestly think it could easily have been an A-side, or at the very least an album track. If you've never heard In Your Memory before, you're missing one of Depeche Mode's true melodic gems.
Place it in your memory.
Released in 1985 as the B-side to It's Called a Heart, Fly on the Windscreen is another song that could easily have been an A-side. In fact, Depeche Mode themselves clearly recognized its strength by re-recording it for Black Celebration. But I'm actually one of those fans who prefers the original B-side version. To me, it feels rawer, more honest and less polished. I especially prefer the original introduction, which I think was already perfect. The melody, the clean production and the atmosphere make this one of my favourite Depeche Mode songs, and I honestly think the original version deserves just as much recognition as the album version.
Death is everywhere. There are lambs for the slaughter, waiting to die, and I can't sense.
Released in 1986 as the B-side to A Question of Lust, Christmas Island was a song I loved from the very beginning. Although it was recorded during the Black Celebration sessions, I've always thought it sounds much closer to the Construction Time Again era. That bouncy bass line at the start instantly takes me back to that period, but with a much better sound production, thanks to the years that had passed and the band's musical evolution. I also love the atmospheric soundscape, which makes this one of my favourite Depeche Mode instrumentals. It takes me straight back to my youth and reminds me just how creative the band could be, even without a single vocal. Released in 1987 as the B-side to Never Let Me Down Again, Pleasure Little Treasure is probably the biggest grower on this list. I actually didn't like it very much when I first heard it. At the time I struggled with Depeche Mode's new direction, especially the increasing use of guitars. Even today, I think the guitar riff feels like a precursor to Personal Jesus, and I could happily live without it. But over the years, I've really come to appreciate the song for everything else. The synth bass, the driving drums, and especially the wonderful arpeggiated synthesizers gradually won me over. Today it's a song that instantly puts me in a good mood, and I think it's one of the strongest B-sides from Depeche Mode's late 1980s period.
Pleasure, little treasure. Everybody's looking for a new sensation. Everybody's talking about the state of the nation.
Released in 1989 as the B-side to Personal Jesus, Dangerous is, for me, the finest Depeche Mode B-side of the late 1980s. It's an incredibly melodic song with a fantastic chorus, Dave at his very best, some wonderfully inventive synth sounds, and a razor-sharp production. I especially love the pulsating, arpeggiated synthesizer and the crisp, clean drums. I honestly think it could have fitted perfectly on Violator. In fact, I personally enjoy it even more than Personal Jesus, probably because I still prefer Depeche Mode when the synthesizers are driving the music rather than guitars. For me, Dangerous is the perfect way to end this journey through some of Depeche Mode's most overlooked songs.
Anyway, dangerous. The way you leave me wanting more. Dangerous. That's what I want you for.